Hey everyone, this is Nic LaRue from FilmSnobbery. I am still doing my ongoing coverage that seems to never end of the South Georgia Film Festival. No, this is great. This is I think maybe my last interview, so I'm really excited. And if it isn't my last interview, I'll edit this so that it seems like it is. Um, yeah, I'm very happy. These folks that I'm about to talk to had a feature documentary at the festival, was in contention for one of the awards. I know this because I was on the jury and I ended up having to watch this as part of that. So that was a great joy for me to do. And we're here to talk to them about it. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and introduce the movie. Uh, Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks for having us. So we're the filmmakers and crew and star behind the movie How to Break a World Record, which is a film we made about Stephen Oliver's Guinness World Record attempt to break the record for the longest marathon playing mandolin. And to accomplish that, he had to play for over 27 hours. My name's Andrew Oliver. I was a director of the film and in the film as well. This is my brother, Stephen Oliver. He starred in the film. He is the mandolin player and the record breaker himself. And Dan Johnson was a director of the film with me, as well as the editor and filmer and just a ton of the production work. So we're the crew. It was super fun to make. We're super stoked on how it turned out. And it's just been exciting to see the reaction to it so far.
Well, all right. So the first question I have to ask is, how did all of you folks, I mean, I know how two of you got together being siblings, but how did you guys all get together as a crew, and where did the idea of like, I understand the idea of like, oh, hey, let's go break a world record. Seems like a cool thing to do. Where did the idea come from to turn it into an actual documentary?
So I basically fell in love with their music as a fan back in 2016, 17, somewhere in there. There was one specific song, honestly, that I was like, man, it was just the ending of the song. I got to start following these guys more. And then from there, I started doing media work for them. And I'll let these guys elaborate on that. But basically, we had a skit that we wanted to do that accidentally turned into this.
All right.
Yeah, we met, me and Steven obviously started the band, over 10 years ago now. And we met Dan, like he said, around 2016-ish. And, he started coming to shows and we started, we became friends with him, and then found out that he likes to do like photos and videos and media stuff. And so we started doing little projects together. And so slowly but surely we started to churn out, a couple of YouTube videos here, a couple Facebook social media videos there, just like making little pieces of marketing content.
Mhm.
And we started to cut our teeth as a group, I think, a lot, and we started to get some momentum and some flow. And we had an idea to do a comedy sketch. It was going to be like a YouTube, kind of a comedy video about Steven breaking a Guinness World Record with his mandolin. It was going to be a joke. It was going to be satire. And in the process of researching the rules and, writing the script for this sketch, Steven was like, I think I could actually do this for real. I don't want to make a fake, comedy sketch. I think I could actually do it. And we decided, well, if that's the case, let's give it a shot. And it's kind of foggy on the timeline in my memory is of where we decided like, hey, let's make like a feature film, like with all the bells and whistles, like full stop.
Mhm.
But we thought that if he was going to go through the effort and the pain and the suffering of preparing for and attempting this record, it was probably going to be worthy of you know, capturing it in a much larger format.
Well, I mean, it's a huge endeavor, and Stephen, I absolutely sympathize with you. I did a charity walk once, and I'm a larger gentleman who should not have been doing this with less time than I had, to prepare. I did this one charity walk one time called Hell Walk, and out in LA. And it was with a gentleman I met from, he worked with J.J. Abrams's production house, Bad Robot, and he was like, I guess other people that were going to walk with him had dropped out. And I'm like, I felt bad. I'm like, I'll walk with you. I just designed his website. That's more along the lines of what I'm qualified to do. But he said, I'll walk with you, and I figured like I'll just go for a little while, and I'll drop out, and then he'll look like the hero, whatever. The idea was like very similarly like just go until you can't go any longer. I ended up going, I think it was 16 hours or something like that, and did 32
Wow.
miles before like my feet fell apart. Now
Yeah.
you, Stephen, absolutely eclipse that from, from what you've done with playing the mandolin here. Two questions. One, any long-term issues arise from that, from your fingers, or just, "Oh, I got sores on my ass," whatever. Like, did you, did you, suffer anything that's, like, longer term? And do you even still play the mandolin now, or did you have to set that down for a while?
So there wasn't anything super long term. It took a few weeks for my fingertips to kind of recover. And then there was like some muscle pain that would travel up and down my arm for a few weeks, but it wasn't anything too debilitating.
Okay.
I actually had to play a show, I want to say 2 weeks after the attempt, and that wasn't fun. But I thought that I wouldn't want to play the mandolin for basically ever again after the record attempt, but it weirdly kind of made me like playing the mandolin more. So I don't know if it's just the fact that my name is next to the mandolin world record or what, but I just like, well, like I played this for 27 hours, I might as well not put it down now. So
Did you experience that thing like after you were done playing where it felt like you were still playing, like the phantom pain, or but not even pain, but like almost like you felt like your hands were still in position doing it? I felt like when I was done walking the thing, I still felt like I'd be sitting down. I'm like, but I feel like I'm still having forward momentum, like my equilibrium hadn't like reset itself yet. Did that ever happen to you while you were like after you stopped and like I still feel like something's going on here?
So I actually didn't experience that. I
Wow.
really didn't feel much of anything. It was just so much relief, and there were a lot of people around at the time to kind of take my mind off of that. But I think I was so sleep deprived and exhausted, and just my body was just, it was just a full relief to end playing. So there was no, my fingers weren't still strumming after the attempt. I was just happy to set it down.
I,
It-
as someone who was there though, I could still, for weeks, I could still hear the songs in my head and in my sleep though, because he had 4 hours of material per the requirements of the record, and so he had to play the same songs, the same 4 hours of songs over and over and over. And I feel like for weeks I could just hear those songs ringing off in the distance.
I still get triggered when I walk through a grocery store and hear one of them come on. It brings me back.
As far as the production was concerned, so how did you? It seems like this was done over a longer period of time, getting everything together. Not how did you make sure that you guys captured kind of authentically all of like the key moments of everything leading up to this? Was this basically a someone with with either the camera had to always kind of be around to make sure that they were ready to go, or was this more of like a, hey, we're all carrying these in our hands now, so like if something cool is happening, somebody whip this out and just try to get it in frame? Like, what was the process of something like this?
There were a couple mobile phone shots in there, just of moments where something happened and you didn't have time to organize. But for the most part, we were already used to doing things and documenting it. We've been doing this Bo TV series on YouTube, and it was kind of just to show people the band doing something, and there was lots of variety. So there was even part of this where it was like, this really is just us doing those things in different segments, but when it related to the film, it was we were doing it for that. So as we prepared, as we did the grocery shopping and whatever other scenes are in that, going to the chiropractor, it was, we're gonna meet here. This is what we're gonna do. So it was just a lot. We were already doing it in small segments, and we just did the same thing, documenting us doing something.
Oh, that and
Yeah.
that's that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, and Dan deserves a lot of credit too, because he, sometimes something would happen, some big break in the story development, and he was always, he's so flexible and always down to ride that we could really set up shop on the flip of a dime and start filming. And I think the three of us uniquely have a lot of flexibility to be able to do that, and so that helped us a lot too. Where since we were all so committed to the film, anytime something big would happen or something we anticipated something interesting was about to happen, we could usually, rally the troops and we'd all be ready for it.
you know, one of the things that was interesting to me, and I've seen another doc kind of do this in the past year or so as well, and it's really effective, is you guys introduced the idea of kind of like a villain. You know, to some degree in this. There was another documentary a good friend of mine actually did called The Pez Outlaw, and that one, if you actually get to watch it, you guys might enjoy it because it's very comedic as well, where it's about a guy he buys and sells, you know, and collects Pez dispensers, and like that's his thing. But he gets like, not, I don't want to call it bootleg ones, but they're like ones that are hard to collect from outside, like to import them. You know, like he literally had, it's like a black market Pez dispenser trader. And there's this guy called, literally, that people call him the Pesident, and he is like the guy who controls what gets in and out of Pez and all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of their villain that they kind of talk about throughout the entirety of that film. You guys have that as well, in just in some degree. And was there, narratively speaking, obviously it makes sense to kind of like, oh, it's my nemesis, you know, kind of thing, you know. But meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice, is this kind of was this kind of thing that you kind of ramped up a little bit more for the drama of the movie, or was this a legitimate concern that, you know, someone was going to come after your record?
It was a very legitimate concern. You know, I was thinking, I saw where this question was going. And I was kind of thinking, like doing some self-examination, like, did we exaggerate this a little bit? I'm like, I don't really think we did, because it was terrifying when that development happened with, you know, his rival. We thought we were gonna, you know, initially we thought we were gonna lose not only the attempt but the film. And at that point, we'd been filming for a few months. We had spent, you know, a somewhat decent amount of money on, you know, the film aspect of it at that point. And it was terrifying to think that this guy across the pond, you know, in another part of the country, could set up shop on his end and beat him to the record. And then, you know, basically we got nothing to show for it.
We may
It
have
was,
downplayed my reaction, if I'm being honest.
yeah,
But that's, it's all good, you know. Well, I was just like, why is this guy trying to break his own record? You know, he's already the record holder, but
it was
I
a
won't
real,
get into it.
it was a real life coincidence that our scheduled date, which we had on the calendar for months, was 1 week before he randomly, without knowing what we were doing, decided to break his own record and go longer than we planned to go for. That was an absolute coincidence that out of nowhere, after 4 years, he was like, I'm going to break my own record, having no idea that across the world, a week before that, we were about to break his record.
Was there ever a idea for a backup plan for like, okay, so if mandolin does not seem to be the thing that we're going to be able to break, okay, ukulele, like, you know, like, was there ever drums, whatever other instrument you could pick up, was there ever a thought of like, hey, yeah, we have to have a plan B on this, or just the whole thing tanks and we just break it up for like skits on YouTube or something? You know, was that really kind of more so what the backup plan was, or was there any thought of like, okay, well, if things go awry, which some things do, like, you know, that we have to do something. Like, what, who wants to speak to that?
I don't remember. Maybe Andrew does. I don't remember a backup plan in the movie. It was, we proceed as planned and hope.
Yeah, you know, and you know, logically, there was no universe where we were gonna walk away with absolutely nothing. You know, like we could have, you know, if the worst case scenario happened, we probably would have still created some kind of content with what we had done to that point, and it still would have been interesting in its own right. But you know, our plans were very specific in that we were trying to make a feature film that was, you know, something that was never really been done before. We thought, you know, the Guinness World Record angle has never really, there's not a lot of feature films that really narrow in on someone's journey in breaking a record. There's a few things out there, but there's not like that go-to standard. And so, you know, we wanted this film to be that. And so it would have been devastating if something got in the way of that.
Coming from the music industry, and, you know, obviously, like, you know, the making and publishing and recording and all the things that come with making music and getting it out there to fans, is there anything that was more useful to you, like kind of transferring some of those skills over to the filmmaking side, especially in the promotional aspect of it, getting audiences to want to come see it or anything like that? Was there any of those skills kind of really transferable to try to, get that out there?
Well, we have a really big, yeah, and I'm grateful for it, a really big support group just from, what we've done in music. And so like from an event planning side of things and getting, the help we need for different things, volunteers and things like that, we always um have a really good time just based on, the size of our network and our support group, just for the band and things like that. So we're super grateful for that. From a marketing standpoint, I think, we do have some advantages just because we're so used to creating, digital media and getting it out there and marketing it and promoting it. So, obviously this is our first film and it's going to be releasing pretty soon here. So we'll see what we can do with it on our end and kind of, it's a cool challenge. It's obviously a movie is a much bigger production and promotion than a single typically.
Have you noticed that it's brought more fans into the music side of everything yet?
Yeah, I believe so. It was part of we wanted to make the movie, for the art of it, but from a marketing standpoint, we thought it would be very unique and potentially very powerful for, the brand of the band, to be honest, because it's just very unusual. Most of the time, bands are making albums or playing shows, and we do those things too, but we thought, what would happen if a band put out a movie and it was a good movie? What would happen then? And, you would think that it could only contribute to the overall picture of what's going on.
I mean, if you think about it, you look at the movies for bands that get put out, right? It's like the Beatles, the Monkees, there was another one that you guys got compared to at one point, which in a good way, called Box of Rain that came out. It was about the fans of the Grateful Dead. But you look at the types of movies that are getting made, particularly with bands and stuff like that, that aren't like the fake bands and stuff, like the Wonders or something like that, that thing you do. That's you're in rarefied company. That's a great thing. Another question quick for Steven is, do you feel like now that you've won one world record, do you feel that maybe trying to win another one at some point may be a possibility for you to try to, because hey, I'm always thinking about the sequel, but also like, are you ever does it make you nervous, or is it that to think that maybe someone may try to beat your record, or do you just like, "Nah, I don't care, I got the certificate now, we're good."
So I've gone back and forth on it. Like, yeah, it would be cool to attempt another record, but doing it showed how difficult and involved it is. And it's a big deal. Like this record, the movie made everything more difficult, but the record itself was really a 6 to 12 month process in and of itself. So like I don't know if I'm in a hot hurry to attempt another world record. But in regards to it being broken, I've really been back and forth on it because at first I was like, if someone breaks it, I'm gonna re-break it, and as time goes on, I'm honestly kind of happy about it. Like I don't care if someone breaks it because I kind of compare it to like a heavyweight boxer. If you're the champion of the world, you're the champion of the world for your whole life, even if you're not the current belt holder, So that's kind of how I view it. And I think it'll be fun once this movie drops to see if some people try to take up the challenge. So I look forward to that in the future.
Look at him and say like, "Wasn't so easy, was it?" No.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. I know it kind of in the beginning, Stephen had mentioned, obviously health concerns and stuff like that about like, how your fingers afterwards and all that kind of stuff. But, seriously, one of the things that it was a quote to me that I laughed at. And I think I laugh at it because, again, I'm a bigger guy, but also like I could be more healthy. One of the best quotes in there was something like, "Oh, you're not healthy, but you are healthy enough to do this." Like that's when you see stuff like that, obviously now you have audiences watching that. And this is not to make you self-conscious in any way, shape, or form, right? We all know how we are. But the thing of it is, like, does that motivate you at all to go, like, I think it maybe aside from like, changing the fact that one leg is higher than the other or something, like the harder to change, obviously, but did that make you go like, I think I need to like be healthier for me in my life because this is now documented on film? Or is it like, ah, fuck it, pass the bagel bites, I want those? What is your what was your kind of take on that?
So that one didn't really get to me at that level, but I don't want to leak any information, but there may be another film project that we're working on, and that one actually inspired me to get healthier, and so I'm currently on that ride right now. So
Hey,
um,
like why, first of all, I love a teaser. That's fantastic. Second of all, no, that I mean that's great. I mean, anything that's a good excuse. I mean, I have a gym membership. I feel like just by the virtue of having one, I should drop 5 pounds. Like that's the payment. I'm definitely dropping it in my bank account. Why not here? But the other side of that is, it's hard, like it's hard to be healthy, without having to give up a bunch of shit and to do it consistently. And especially like when you're in a band, because you're in a situation where you're either playing at bars, clubs, stuff like that, not the healthiest of places. You're not walking up and asking for a kombucha at the end of the night, like that's not how that works. It's kind of the environment. Film is the same way. I mean, you go to film festivals and stuff, and yeah, they might have some snacks, there's popcorn, there's the drinks after at the after party, all of these kind of things. Like it's not like you could be like, well, I'm on my feet and I'm walking around all day and exploring or whatever, but like it's not, that there's a reason why Ebert was a larger man as well, and a lot of the film critics are not the healthiest of people. When you do this for a living, it's like, what do you do all day? I sit and I watch TV. Not the greatest lifestyle for that, or conducive lifestyle for healthy living. But no, that's great. I compliment anyone who tries to do that. And also, hard to go to a gym when you're just traveling all the time. So that's fantastic. Going back again to kind of the production side, were there any real challenges as far as like, oh man, we're missing, like, as you're putting everything together, like you're getting the final cut together, the final edit and all that. Were there any issues with things like, oh man, we missed, like, we don't have like this moment, this moment, this moment that kind of like completes this sequence or something like that? Did you have to go back and kind of like ostensibly recreate stuff?
I think we were pretty, I'm thinking back about the process. I felt like our timeline came together pretty well. I don't think there was any panic moments or any holes in post where, I mean, there was some creative, obviously we're always making creative decisions and trying to do things like that. But from a story perspective, I mean, we were so manic as far as our attention to detail during the production of this film. Like we were literally communicating every day, almost nonstop. We joked about the hundreds of hours of voice memos that we would send back and forth. Um, for me, I can speak for myself and probably for these guys too. It was like an obsession, and the entire process of making this movie. And so as we're filming it, and I don't know if this is the right way to do it or not, or if there even is a right way, but we are basically storyboarding as we're filming it, as events are happening in real time. So we knew, once, obviously once he actually did the record attempts and we got the record verified and all the things that happened, we kind of had it mapped out to where we knew, okay, we got this. And we were also filming everything. So it's, I felt like we did a really good job in that regard.
Was there going to be the chance of the alternate ending where, you know, um, he doesn't get the world record, but it's like, well, we've come this far, we still should at least release this as the attempt or something like that, with like a tease for a sequel in that particular case or something? Or like, was there that, or was it just like, like you had mentioned, like you were manic on it, like it was obsessive? It's like, no, there is no fail on this. Like we're in it to win it, like that's it.
It was on paper. We probably said it a few times, like if you don't get it, we're still going to do something, but there was not a specific plan. It was Steven, I know, can elaborate on this. He never for once in his head thought that he was not going to get it. Andrew and I on the back end were like, if we don't get it, we'll do something, but we didn't have a specific plan. It was all in.
You guys are some of the most supportive people I've ever met, and I appreciate that. That's just it's an amazing compliment because it's so hard to find people in life who are there's so many people like really why? And you know, it's so hard to find people who are like, why not? Like, let's just go do this. Like, of course we'll succeed because we're all on board. Like, why would anything go wrong? Like, I appreciate that from, you know, the perspective of like especially if you're attempting something that is a world record or something grandiose like that, you know, to have that level of support. I'm going to switch gears over to the film festivals because you know obviously this is where I saw your film is at the South Georgia Film Festival. What was kind of your selection criteria when you were looking to go to different festivals and stuff? Because this must have also been a bit of a new world for you.
Yeah, it was a brand new world. And at first, you know, when I first started looking into it, I didn't really know what I was looking for. And I just see, you know, like hundreds and hundreds of festivals. And I'm like, do we just submit to all of them? You know, and then I was like, wait a second, that's gonna be expensive. We gotta like be selective here. But in short, you know, we were looking for festivals, you know, obviously first and foremost, like in our kind of immediate region. And it's really cool that there are some awesome ones that are like kind of within that 2 to 4 hour radius of where we live. Tryon International Film Festival was the first to accept our film. And so that was our first experience, and they were just top notch. We had such a great time, and they were, you know, so great to the filmmakers. And honestly, it was just super memorable experience for us. So that was like super exciting. Um, they had the movie playing like in the big movie theater there as one of the as the Saturday night feature. So like we're like tripping out because it's like we just made our first movie, and then now it's like playing
And that's
to
the
a
prime
movie
time.
theater full of people in prime time. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, that's
Um,
great. Did
and then
anyone
we
ask you guys to actually perform at any of the festivals? Because I would have thought that would have been a no-brainer, like bonus gig.
Nobody has asked that yet. You know, that's something we've thought about. We've thought about doing kind of like our own, what would you call it? Kind of like a promotional run where we go to theaters, the film is played and the band performs kind of like a dual style show. Um, but nobody's asked us specifically yet.
See,
I'm
this is
sure
why
I'm
I've
sure they'll
got the
come on.
book, Behind the Scenes of Indie Film Marketing, dropping this June. Yeah, because that to me would have seemed like a no-brainer because especially if you were going to be at the festival anyway, promoting the movie, why wouldn't you like be asked to play like the after party or you know to do a set like as people are coming in or like be the house band or something like that for like the red carpet or something like that. Like there's a million ways I could, well, maybe not a million, but there's a lot of ways I could think of to utilize talent like that as a means of also you know, helping to promote your movie. It's good, you know, PR for the festival because it's an additional element that, you know, is not just the films themselves. That's a missed opportunity. And I hope that anyone who does watch this on, you know, that if you guys are going to continue your festival run going forward, like I hope that they get that idea and you guys have that opportunity because also then, you know, you have the opportunity to get more fans and stuff too from those other areas. Speaking of which, are you hoping to go to more festivals, or is it as you're getting closer to release times? You know, is it kind of winding down? Where are you at with that right now?
Yeah, we'd still like to do some more. I think we've been in, at this point, we've been in, I believe, 4 festivals.
Mhm.
We have another one actually, Reedy Reels in Greenville, where we're from. That's going to be this next weekend. So we're excited about that one. And we're still submitting to different festivals. So we'd like to kind of continue and kind of stay in that circuit. And, you know, we just like, you know, it's our first time in that world. So we like going to the events and meeting the people and so yeah, we'd like to see the festivals continue. The movie will be releasing this summer, which is exciting. We'll have a date to announce soon.
That's great.
But yeah, we're just trying to get out there and enjoy it, and we just love that people are seemingly enjoying the film too. So
It's fantastic. And Dan, you know, this is you know, obviously making social media content and stuff like that is different than making a feature. But now you've made a feature. And does this open the door for you in the future to not only maybe with these guys, but on your own or with other folks, open the door to doing more in that arena?
it might open the door right now. And to go back to what you're talking about being supportive, I mean, I don't really see myself doing anything but making stuff with this crew. So maybe something comes that I'd be passionate about, but what we've got is the ability to keep everything in house, do what we're passionate about, run ideas back and forth in the millions of voice memos. So maybe, but I don't have any. That's not in my heart right now.
But you know what? There's something to be said for that in terms of keeping everything in house. There's a lot of, folks out there. I know that the folks who do like the Terrifier movies and stuff, one of those guys, the producers on that, Jason Levy's in my book, and then there, Damon Leone and all that. They all kind of keep everything in house. And I asked them like, what are you doing between making like gory movies? And they're like, "Oh, we do like commercial directing and we do music videos and we do all these other things because we have all these resources in house that allow us to do that." And so I think that that's, there's something there. I mean, at the end of the day, at least you always have someone to score something that you're going to do, or to, you'll always have the music side covered. So that's good. And obviously you guys have learned how to put a production together in that, from a film perspective. I mean, obviously you've been doing it as a band for a while. So how long have you guys total? I mean, I know how long you've been together as brothers, but how long have you been together as a band so far?
I mean, me and Steven started the band in, I believe, 2013-ish. The band, as people know it,
Yeah.
as it kind of took shape and kind of matured into the group it is now, since about 2016, which is about when we met Dan. And, we kind of, to piggyback off what Dan was saying, is like we're kind of unique in the sense that like we're very much a team. We're everything we do is brewed up in the minds of this group and a few others, who obviously aren't on the call right now. But we're very passionate about what we can create together. And we feel like we have this window and this time of life where we're doing a lot of fun stuff, and people seem to be digging it, and we have more ideas than we could possibly ever have time for. And so we're just having so much fun, and we're trying to just keep the pedal down, keep it rolling. And it's just super satisfying when you could see something come together well, and then like with How to Break a World Record, like that's, I mean, one of my, as far as a professional and and a creative, one of my pride and joys, if not, the thing I'm most proud of. But we got more we want to do, and we got the right people to do it. And so it's just exciting.
Well, let's tell people where they can see, if they, maybe not where the movie yet is because you're going to announce that later, but where people can find you guys, the band, all that kind of stuff. This is the part on Hot Ones where they say, right there, camera, 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 tell them what you got going on. Like, this is that part, but we're just not that good a show. So, yeah, go ahead though. Pimp out your deets to all the folks.
Yeah. So if you want to connect with if you want to follow the band, it's at Brother Oliver Music on Instagram, Facebook. Website is brotheroliver.com. All those pages have links to the movie, and things of that nature. For the movie specifically, if you want to jump right to it, it's howtobreakaworldrecord.com. So the movie has its website there, and we are going to be announcing a release date pretty soon here. And we've got a few more festival announcements we're about to make as well. So there's good stuff coming down the pipe.
That's fantastic.
And
Dan, your turn.
I'd say subscribe to that channel on YouTube, because we're debating currently on when to start dropping hints and teasers for the next project. So if you're subscribed there, you'll see something drop at some point in the next couple months.
Fantastic. Well, guys, I want to thank you for sitting down and taking the time to chat with me, and good luck obviously on all of the next stuff that's going to be coming down the pipe. It sounds like, it's always great when you interview groups of people and it's like, oh, we sometimes you ask like, oh, what's next? And like, we don't know. It's nice to, at least have a rough plan of what's happening. It's nice to know, that, there's no plans to oh, we're all just going to split off and do our own thing. Like it's great to see the community you guys have built there. So that's fantastic. And thank you for, having your film at the festival. And it was wonderful chatting with you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for showing interest in what we do, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely.